Moving on, while the history of women contributing to the world's economy as innovative entrepreneurs is a tale as old as time, at Future Female Forward, it has been our constant endeavor to feature, celebrate and bring forward inspiring and successful stories of women who've been charting the startup growth story from the front. Now, according to a study conducted by IIT Madras, Tamil Nadu has the maximum number of women entrepreneurs in the country. The state is also home to one of the country's largest number of business incubators and has 576 startups with all women founders and around 3,654 startups with at least one woman founder. The industrial policy support, advent of emerging technologies and government support has been extended to women entrepreneurs in the state. It is inspiring and empowering them day by day. So without further ado, let's find out more about the changing picture of the startup sector within the city and the state from the women themselves who are building stronger, smarter and innovative business models of tomorrow. Please join me in welcoming on stage Ashwini Asokan, founder and CEO of Madstreet Den, Rati Shetty, Chief Product Officer and the founder of Bank Bazaar, Archana Stalin, founder My Harvest Farms, Kamhalini Aithal, the founder of White Lotus, White Lily and Lily and Lotus, Vijay Lakshmi Venkatraman, founder of Gayak, firstly, let me start by saying that I'm super proud to be moderating an all-women founders panel. So kudos to that. And, let me start with you, Rati, and also congratulate you first on, having reached EBITDA profitability in FY23. And of course, now you're aiming EBITDA profitability for FY24 as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're audible, I guess. Okay. So, you call yourselves India's first neutral online marketplace and you provide customized financial services for your clients. First, talk to us about this unique business model and the pain point that, you wanted to solve when you were starting up, the startup story as well.
How we started the company, it's as cliche as it may sound that it was our personal experience which made us feel that there are lots of complexities in the banking system. In just as a customer, for me to actually get a loan, which more than this is about 15 years ago when we were looking for a home loan, me and my husband.
And the banking system was far more rigid.
Very, very. And there were a lot of challenges there, right? And I think we just felt that this could be a lot more simpler. And this was at a time when companies like ClearTrip and Make My Trip had just started completely disrupting the airline space.
Yes.
So we said, why can't we do this for banking? And I know it was like a little far-fetched for us to think of it, but as a customer, I felt that would be something brilliant. So we always had our North Star as completely transferring the offline experience to an online experience.
Absolutely. Let me now go across to Ashwini. Ashwini, Madstreet Den, it is an AI-focused startup. You've got 50-50 gender ratio policy across all roles and departments that you have, and this has been from the very beginning. So tell us, how did you manage to kind of start at such a fantastic ratio?
There were two questions asked of me repeatedly when we chose to kind of leave the US and the Valley to move back home to Chennai to start this company. One question was, why would you leave the Valley to come to Chennai to start an AI company?
Yeah.
And the second one is, how are you going to do that with a 50-50 kind of, women, where are you going to find, right? Both of these things had never been done before, but also more importantly, didn't make a whole lot of sense to a lot of folks that were seeing me and my co-founders kind of on this journey. And I think it was all the more important for us. One, where you build and who is part of building and creating AI was a narrative that we wanted to script a very particular way. All of you guys have built unicorns. You figured out how to build some of the hardest problems and solve some of the hardest business problems. 50-50 women is not a hard problem at all.
Yeah.
I find it ridiculous that, I'm routinely asked to come in and have this conversation because it is ridiculous.
And we haven't been able to solve this. Yeah.
And it's not a problem at all. You figured out how to solve, extremely complex logistics problems in a country like India where fragmented systems are so hard, but we can't figure out how to hire 50% women.
So how did you figure out then? Tell us.
We didn't. There's nothing at all. You just have to not be biased.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's just so simple. Don't be biased.
It really is not rocket science. I mean, we're a company literally building, the equivalent of OpenAI, but for enterprises, so much more closed rather than open. And you're going, that's the hard problem to solve. Hiring 50% women is not, we should normalize this and say this is not the hard problem to be solved.
Okay. We will delve deeper into that a little later, but let me quickly go across to Archana. Archana, you're an engineer. You've turned a natural farmer and, of course, an entrepreneur. Your passion about eco-friendly living and you're making an impact at every level. So first, talk to us about the growth journey of My Harvest Farms, how you started and where is the company at today?
I traveled across India. I was part of Jagrati Yatra. So, I think that is a seed which made me start a social enterprise. So I wanted to be a for-profit, but I definitely wanted to solve a social problem. So being a farmer was a choice after all these travels happened, because I went to the farmers and said, why do natural farming is the answer? Why are you not doing it?
Yeah.
And they said, please do and show it to us. So I had to be a farmer out of no choice, and then we started growing our own. So difficult to make 10,000 rupees a month. So I quit my IT job. Both my husband and me, both of us quit our jobs. So it was a life that we chose. But after all the toil and sweat, even if we sell, people will ask, how do I know it's organic? I can't show everything that I do at the field. So there's a lot of struggle connecting urban people with the farmer. So personal story. But My Harvest was started after 3 years of doing farming. So today, what I'm trying to build is an entire farm-to-home platform where my farmers are able to follow sustainable farming methods, grow food which is completely chemical-free, and reach people who are really willing to buy food from trusted farmers and support them. So it's farmer knows the consumer, consumer knows the farmer kind of model, and I think there's good welcome. It's been 5 years. Thanks to all my customers.
We will understand more about the venture, but let me quickly go across to Kamalini. You started your entrepreneurial journey 2 decades ago. You've seen the whole startup ecosystem evolve. In terms of bridging the gender gap, how far or how close have we come?
When I started my journey, it was revolutionary because very, very few women entrepreneurs were around, and also, I was very fortunate to be the first batch of lady medical representatives for a pharmaceutical company in India. So that was like another revolution I went through.
Yeah.
And then passionately, I also joined a garment industry after that, and then I became their youngest director. And then I said, no, now I want to start my own business. And I come from a family which has doctors, engineers, and auditors. So, and it was like, why do you want to start your own business? Because I said, you know what? I want to take coffee breaks whenever I want. and it was like, my parents were like, are you serious? I said, yeah, I want my space and I want to do something that I love. Anyways, I started my journey then, and we were a handful of people. And coming back to the garment industry, that is, I'm a buying agent representing clients overseas for garment production in India. So, I'm talking about that 70% of the smaller garment industries. We are not talking about the ITC, but we're talking about the 70% where I feel it has changed. In the sense, women are more safer, their proper toilet facilities, because when I started, they had to use one single toilet. And there is creche, and we were talking about maternity leave, which is more, it is in place right now. And, there's ladies' hostels, factories are providing ladies' hostels. Having said that, a lot of reforms are happening, a lot of facilities are given, but I think deep down, the mindset of women need to change. Only then, I think the gender parity can be bridged, and we have to come to a common ground and understand the diversity And then we should have a very, very strong voice.
Vijay Lakshmi, now let me come to you. You're a software programmer prior to, taking up music as your profession, and then you, of course, founded Gayak. Talk to me about the kind of support that you got when you wanted to switch careers.
All right. Check.
Yeah, just keep it closer.
Yeah. So to begin with, yes, prior to starting with Gayak, I was employed with Zoho Corporation, kind of a dream company for several. It takes around 12 rounds of interview to get into that today.
Yeah.
A wonderful work culture there, a very comfortable position I was holding. I was leading a team of, 7 to 10 members. And the biggest advantage was my office was just a 5-minute walkable distance from home.
So what made you switch?
A job which somebody would kill for. Yeah. And so it all happened during my maternity leave, actually, when I had my second son. So it's like during the time when I was idle and I really wanted to get away from, all the nappy changing and feeding routine kind of a thing. So that's when my sister-in-law, my brother's family, they're based in the USA. So she was kind of, asking me that, why don't you teach my children music, since you're a trained Carnatic music singer? And I was awake, mostly during the night time, since I had the little one, and it kind of suited their time zone requirements as well. So that's when I first started teaching. And it kind of dawned in me that why can't I channelize my musical ambition into this teaching arena, given that there is, a lot of requirement for training children in traditional Indian music, especially the NRIs. Having been an NRI myself, I've faced a similar problem, the accessibility to a good teacher. So towards the end of my maternity leave, I had come to a conclusion, a decision that yes, this is what I wanted to do. And added to that, my husband, who was also employed with Zoho, he also decided to quit and he wanted to start up his own startup. Right. So you can imagine, we decided to raise 3 children at a time, 2 startups and 1 baby.
Yeah.
And the support from the family, be it my in-laws or my parents and my husband for that matter, everybody, it just hardly took 5 minutes to come to a decision. It's okay, if you really want to do this, go ahead and do it.
So you chose the difficult path. It was easier to go back to Zoho
Yes,
Corp,
pretty
but
much.
you decided to raise 3 children. Archana, let me quickly come to you. Like you mentioned that, your husband is also the co-founder of My Harvest Farms, a perfect example of gender parity. But have you ever felt in your entrepreneurial journey that having a male counterpart helps, or have you felt any kind of disparity when you're trying to manage things alone when he's not there?
Whatever it is, having a co-founder helps. I think everybody would agree. So here in my case, I think, and an advice to also some women who start up, I think if you aren't married, please discuss your startup idea with them. For me, I married my best friend. So a part of the vision of the idea that we're building is somewhat similar, so we are able to prove that. And I'm happy that he complements my skills. So otherwise, we would still be fighting on every day at office. I think it's very difficult to have a co-founder who's an husband. So for me, in my case, we complement each other. So we decided on different roles that we would handle at office.
So very clear line.
Very clear about it. And he's someone, so we have 2 extremes. Whatever be our character, we're 2 extremes. So, and this guy won't come around me unless he's needed, most needed.
Okay.
So we always find reasons to not come with me outside or be. So I love moving around, meeting people. So we chose roles that fit in our character, and we are very clear about what each of us does.
Okay. Rati, similar question for you. Are there clear-cut lines at Bank Bazaar, because you're working with your husband and the brother-in-law as your partners as well? So have you felt any kind of disparity when you're handling things on your own, when they're not there in any kind of decision?
Yeah, so I think very similar to her. In the beginning itself, when we decided to do this, we had no clue how it's going to be working with family.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what I will tell you, whether I'd advise you to go for it or not. But it is what it is.
Would you advise now?
I'll save it.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think you can make it work as well, which is how we've been doing. So I think things that worked for us is that we were very clear about what our roles will be. And we respect, what we own in terms of our scopes. I think there obviously there are parts of the business that you have to discuss together, and sometimes you need to take those decisions yourself. I think, I think all in all, it's worked out well. Yeah, there are challenges, and I think there are healthy discussions. There are some heated arguments. But I think at the end of the day, everyone knows what the common goal is, and the common goal is our North Star, which is where we want to get to. I think as long as everyone's aligned on that front, I think, everything else becomes very temporary, and the long-term goal is what everyone focuses on.
Okay. All right.
Stealing a minute here. For me, the challenge has been like when people join the company, they think if they're told anything to me, it all
Yes,
automatically
that's what
my
I'm talking
husband would
about,
know.
yeah.
And no, I say I'm a different person, he's a different person. Even if it is a leave, inform him if you're reporting to him. So that's the difficult part.
Yeah. So you have to ensure the clear lines are absolutely gone
We're
to
two
the
different individuals.
Okay, all right. Ashwini, coming to you, the Indian SaaS industry is projected to grow to $26 billion by 2026. The role women have played in here is tremendous. But from your experience, what have been the areas that concern you with your women tribe? What are the sort of challenges that you see are there, and perhaps, what can be done to mitigate those?
While the investment has been...
Yeah, I think she's audible. Yeah.
Can you hear me? Yeah, all right. While I think the SaaS industry has been going pretty wildly for India, the number of women in the SaaS industry, especially as founding members, historically has been very bad. There's literally, if you actually think about it, I'm on the board of SaaS Bhumi, which is one of our biggest SaaS initiatives across the country. And you'll never know how many women are there that run companies north of $10 million and north of $100 million in valuation from a SaaS. Can you just take a guess how many women there are?
Very few. Of course, it has to be 5.
There's 5 of us in the country, literally just 5 of us in the country, right? And that's not a great, and we've been working very hard looking and seeing, okay, what can we do about it? And one of the biggest things that has happened, I would say, particularly in the last 2 years, right, is the funnel has been seeded beautifully. The number of women that are coming up with SaaS companies in that 0 to 1 million kind of journey, in that first 0 to 1 journey, is probably at its highest ever in India than it's ever been before. So I think there's been some fantastic work being done by the ecosystem to basically seed companies in that 0 to 1 journey, right? Yeah. The country has also seen its first exit from a woman from in SaaS. And so these are all really, you're talking 5 and you're talking 1, and you can literally count with one hand all of these numbers, right?
The numbers don't look good.
They don't look good, but I think what has significantly changed in the last, like I said, 24 months is just the number of women that are showing up in the pipe. The thing that has to change, and there are a few VC funds that are very actively working to change this, is it's not enough mentorship. I mean, we speak a lot about mentorship, we speak a lot about equity, equality, all of that. At the end of the day, without sponsorship, nothing is possible. Yeah. Nothing is possible, right?
And raising funds has been a challenge. I mean, you've raised $30 million in Jan this year, but, do you believe that is a challenge when it comes to women founders?
Absolutely. If you look at the numbers last year, the percentage of funding that's gone to women worldwide is 1.5%. 1.5%. And you're talking about, hundreds of billions of dollars that go into the startup ecosystem every single quarter, right, globally. And you're talking about 1 to 2% that are going for women. So I think it's not matching up. And what is wonderful to see, again, in the last 24 months in India, has been watching every single VC fund starting and seeding, the 0 to 1 sponsorship journey has really started. And it's not enough, not nearly enough. But I think it's a great start, what we've seen in the last 2 years.
Okay. Kamalini, let me come to you. India stands as the 3rd largest exporter of textiles and apparel in the world. When the industry, it has scaled significantly, but the gender gap is wide, especially when it comes to leadership roles. In your view, what needs to be done to close this gap?
Yeah, 80% of the workforce in the factory is dominated by women. So, but when it comes to the supervisory role, only I think very few have taken over. So, there are a lot of, factors that attribute, because I'm talking again about the 70% of the small factories. Women are still looked as vulnerable and a weaker gender, I guess. And lack of support within, men may not want to work under a women supervisor, and as well as, women have problems working with another woman.
Yeah.
So that again is another factor I see. And also indirect harassment, and which I have also undergone, and the fear to report and the consequences. I think it still exists.
But do you see things changing now?
It is changing, but it's changing very slowly. It's not changing as it.
The numbers clearly show.
And also the family responsibility we have, it is also treated as weakness. And we talk about gender equality, we talk about all that, but I think when it comes to the factory or when it comes to the grassroots level, I don't think that awareness is there. So, that is why that fear exists. So we need to have more, we need to go to the grassroots level and educate them, and a lot more counseling has to happen. And we should talk to them about agreements, and that a legal system is in place. So only then, when the education is there and the awareness is there, I think they'll get stronger, and I think they'll also opt for leadership roles within the industry.
All right, very valid points made there. Vijay Lakshmi, let me come to you. You have a student base that ranges from 4-year-olds to 80-year-olds. Talk to us about the kind of parity that you see in your client base at Gayak.
Well, I would say that each segment has their own requirement. Like, say, if you have a toddler who's hardly 3 or 4-year-old walking in for online classes, you can't expect them to sit and sing Saregama for 25 minutes. They may hardly have an interest towards it. So what we decided to do while crafting the curriculum was, we, decided to tune Saregama in terms of nursery rhymes. So introduce the concepts in terms of nursery rhymes or in terms of, peppy songs which they like. We even give them, sing-along karaoke tracks in the Gayak app. So you can sing along your favorite song, whether it is Let It Go or whatever it is. In terms of Saregamapa, it's kind of, doable.
Yeah.
And similarly, coming to the senior citizens or people who are like 60 plus, whom we have several to be, age is never a bar to learn music. So we have several senior citizens as well coming to us. So they are, more rooted to the spiritual or rather the devotional aspect of music. Even with them, you can't expect them to come and sit and learn Saregama after 60 years of age. So we've designed, something for them as well, which kind of, something called the semi-classical, where they are like, directly taught songs and things which they are capable of singing. Again, not something which is complicated. So we've designed something for everybody. It's kind of like our tagline is, nurture the music in you. We hope to nurture the music in everybody. So if you have the will to learn, you're most welcome.
Okay, on that note, we'll wrap up our conversation. Thank you, ladies. It was an absolute honor and pleasure talking to you all. Thank you so much.